For those of you who have been living under a rock, you may have not heard that there is a new nation, a new country out there, and this country is called Balochistan. And Balochistan, it's a part of Pakistan, and there was a conflict that broke out between Pakistan and India recently, actually this month, at the beginning of this month. And this conflict has led to a region of Pakistan declaring independence. And they say that they're an independent country. They are asking the world stage, including the United States and the United Nations, and as well as the country of India, to recognize their sovereignty. Of course, Pakistan is denying this. They are outright saying that this is not an independent nation. This is a part of Pakistan. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And by the way, the whole living under a rock thing, I was obviously just kidding. I have not heard of this new region, and I just figured I would get into a little bit. So Balochistan, where is Balochistan? So this is the Pakistani map of the country of Pakistan. There's India over here to the east, and Afghanistan to the west, and there's China up here. There's Iran over here. And this is Balochistan. In Balochistan, they are considering themselves to be a sovereign nation. And this recently just came out over the last few days. Of course, Pakistan is outright denouncing this for obvious reasons, because this is an enormous part of Pakistan. If this region breaks away and becomes an independent sovereign nation, then Pakistan will lose about, I think the number was about 44% of its landmass. So that would be a major hit to Pakistan, obviously. So I'll go ahead and bring up a better map here just so you can get a better idea as to where it is. The outline in red, that is Balochistan, and Pakistan. It's kind of hard to see it over here in this area, but it kind of wraps around this area as it touches the border of China, which is Pakistan. And then, of course, there's India there when you zoom out. So this is the region that is declaring sovereignty, that is working to become an independent nation. They've already got their own national anthem. They've already got a flag. They've already asked India if they can open an embassy in New Delhi. So they've been in the works with this for quite some time. And actually, Balochistan is not anything new. This region, it's currently a state of Pakistan, or a province. I'm not sure which one they go by. But this region, it's been called Balochistan at least since the 1940s, if not before then. And so I will go ahead and get into a little bit of information about this area, and we'll get into some of the news about this. But first, I want to start with the 2025 India-Pakistan conflict, because that's where this whole Balochistan thing arose from recently. And the 2025 India-Pakistan, the conflict began on May the 7th of 2025 after India launched missile strikes on Pakistan during the codenamed Operation Sindoor. India stated that the operation was a response to the Pahalgam attack on the 22nd of April by militants in the Indian-administered part of Kashmir, killing 26 civilians, mostly Hindu tourists. The attack intensified tensions between India and Pakistan as India accused Pakistan of supporting cross-border terrorism, which Pakistan denied. According to India, the missile strikes of Operation Sindoor targeted the camps and infrastructure of militant groups Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and no Pakistani military facilities were targeted. According to Pakistan, the Indian strikes targeted civilian areas, including mosques. Following these strikes, there were border skirmishes and drone strikes between the two countries. On the 10th of May, Pakistan launched a retaliatory operation codenamed Operation Banyan-un-Marsus, which they stated targeted several Indian military bases. India's military said that Pakistan's retaliatory strikes targeted civilian areas, including Hindu and Sikh religious sites. In retaliation, India also continued Operation Sindoor, expanding its scope to attack Pakistani military installations. This conflict marked the first drone battle between the two nuclear-armed nations. After the four-day military conflict, Both India and Pakistan announced that a ceasefire had been agreed after a hotline communication between their DGMOs on May the 10th of 2025. The ceasefire has been holding with resumed commercial flights and normalcy reported from both countries. And I saw some footage of that conflict. Apparently, the largest dogfight using fighter planes initiated between these two countries, and I think it was right along the border between India and Pakistan, but if I recall, it happened technically over Pakistani airspace, and if the story is true, it involved over 100 fighter jets, and they were flying at each other in this full-on dogfight, firing missiles at each other, shooting machine guns at each other. The dogfight lasted for over an hour. It apparently was the largest dogfight that had occurred since World War II. It was absolutely crazy. But I don't know if the governments officially came out and said that did indeed occur. But the news media, they were certainly reporting it, and they were reporting it as it was happening. So there's some footage out there. I think there's probably still some up there on X. I don't have it prepared because I didn't expect to get into this conflict specifically, at least not that deeply. This video is it's about Balochistan. So anyway, I just figured I would go over this a little bit. Yeah, this actually happened this month. If you were not aware of that, India and Pakistan were in a conflict. Both countries are nuclear armed. And of course, that raises significant worries when it comes to the international community. The last time the two countries had gotten into a conflict between each other was in 1998. So it had been quite a while since the two were in any armed conflict. So yeah, so that happened. It was actually pretty wild for that to occur. Let's see. So Pakistan, they are nuclear armed, but it's believed that the strongest nuclear weapon that they possess is around 12 kilotons. And to put that into any perspective, the atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan in 1945 in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those two bombs were roughly 15 or 16 kilotons. So the first atomic bombs that were dropped, they were stronger than the nuclear weapons that Pakistan possesses. At least that's public knowledge, or at least that's what they're telling the world, essentially. But India, on the other hand, their nuclear weapons are significantly more powerful, albeit not as powerful as nuclear weapons that are in possession by, say, the United States or Russia. With India, it's believed that the strongest nuclear weapon that India has is around 200 kilotons. So it is far more powerful than the ones that Pakistan possesses, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not as powerful as some of the nuclear weapons that have been detonated in the past. For example, the Castle Bravo nuclear weapon that was detonated by the United States, it was roughly, I think it was 20,000 kilotons. 15,000 or 20,000 kilotons. I think it was 20 megatons, which is 20,000 kilotons. And Tsar Bomba, which was detonated by the Soviet Union, which was the strongest nuclear weapon that is believed to have ever been detonated, was 50,000 kilotons. So India's strongest, 200 kilotons. The strongest one ever detonated, 50,000 kilotons. So still, nuclear weapons are nuclear weapons. Just because their yield isn't as significant as the strongest ones ever detonated doesn't mean that it wouldn't cause significant and severe catastrophic damage, and the whole world would absolutely be affected by that. So it is definitely nice to hear that this conflict only lasted for a few days. So it sounds like that Pakistan, they're going to have to turn their attention away from India, and they're going to have to focus over within. And I don't know if a civil conflict might erupt from this. We'll get into some of the news regarding this, and we'll kind of see where this stands. So I'll go ahead and play this video first. And let me actually go over and grab my earbud. Got my little earbud. And we'll give this a play, and I'll listen along.
Balochistan is not Pakistan. That's not just a slogan anymore. It's a declaration. A Baloch nationalist leader has just declared independence from Pakistan, and he's calling on India and the world to stand with him. Who is this leader and what's this entire matter about? Mir Yar Baloch is a prominent voice in the Free Baloch movement, a, a group long demanding sovereignty for Balochistan. On 14th of May, in a series of public posts, Mir Yar made it official.
Let's see. This tweet says, one renowned journalist asked me, question, is the date of independence of Balochistan be declared when Pakistani army leaves Baloch soil? And he responded by saying, we have already declared our independence on the 11th of August of 1947, when Britishers were leaving Balochistan and the subcontinent. So, I mean, he's not pulling that out of thin air. I mean, I'm sure there's legitimacy to that. So Balochistan, I mean, apparently they declared their independence many, many years ago.
He announced, this is the national verdict of the Baloch people. Balochistan is not Pakistan. He cited decades of what he called military oppression, enforced disappearance, and large scale human rights violations in the region. He said, तुम मारोगे हम निकलेंगे हम नस्ल बचाने निकले हैं आओ हमारा साथ दो. A rallying cry to the world seeking solidarity in what he calls a survival battle. Mir Yar also claims Balochistan had already declared independence on 11th of August 1947, which is 3 days prior Pakistan's formation, and that the region's annexation was forced, aided by foreign powers.
By the way, when it comes to Pakistan's population, Balochistan represents only about 6% of the entire population of Pakistan. So as far as people go, they're not going to lose a significant amount of their population. Indeed, they would only lose a very small amount of their human population, but they would end up losing a large swath of land area, which Balochistan produces a lot of fruit, a lot of nuts, and other farming produce that Pakistan needs. So that is probably what's going to devolve into conflict, potentially, because Balochistan has a ton of natural resources.
Argues the Baloch identity has always been distinct and shouldn't be lumped in with what he describes as the dominance of Pakistan's Punjabi elite. Now he is appealing to India and the global community. Mir Yar is urging Indian citizens, the media, YouTubers, even intellectuals to stop calling Baloch people Pakistan's own. He wants India to recognize Balochistan as an independent nation. And more than that, he is asking for a Balochist embassy in New Delhi. In another post, he aligned himself with India's stance on Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
Let's see here. Breaking news straight from POB on the 10th of May, 2025. Solidarity has no borders. The people of the Democratic Republic of Balochistan come to show their full support to the people of Berat. China is helping Pakistan, but Balochistan and its people are the government of Berat. Dear Modi, Prime Minister, I'm assuming, of India. Let's see, you are not alone. You have the backing of 60 million Baloch patriots. Let's see, occupied Jammu and Kashmir. I just see Modi at the end, so I'm honestly not sure exactly who that is.
Supporting India's demand that POJK be vacated immediately. He warned that continued occupation by Pakistan would lead to further bloodshed and reiterated India's military capability by invoking the 1971 surrender of 93,000 Pakistani troops in Dhaka. But India isn't the only one he's calling out to. Mir Yar is asking the United Nations to send peacekeeping forces into Balochistan and to press for an immediate withdrawal of the Pakistani army. His message to the world is clear.
Not sure if that'll happen.
Be silent spectators anymore. Now, for the uninitiated, the crisis in Balochistan isn't new. For years, activists and global rights groups have accused the Pakistani state of enforced disappearances, torture and killings, silencing dissent. The announcement set social media ablaze. The hashtag Republic of Balochistan is now trending, fueled by Mir Yar's claim that 60 million Baloch patriots support the cause. But this issue is more than just a social media flashpoint. It's a declaration that could alter the balance of power in South Asia. So the questions now are, will India respond to the call for recognition? Will the world act or watch from the sidelines? Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates on this.
Wow. Yeah. So pretty wild, huh? So this video, it came from Business Standard. It was published just 2 days ago. It's over on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, I'll give them a like. And I'll go ahead and start moving into a couple of articles here. So this first article, it comes from IndiaNewsNetwork.com. Balochistan independence claim. Baloch leader seeks global backing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I would assume that India, or not just India, but the United States, Trump administration, they could potentially end up backing this. But we all know that President Trump, he doesn't want to be involved in any new wars, no new conflicts. He's a peacekeeper and he wants to keep the peace. So I'm not so sure if he really will end up backing this this declaration. So it'll be interesting to see, even if he makes any comment on it. I mean, this is getting a lot of attention on social media and in the news media. They're not really saying anything about it in the American media at all, but it's definitely making its rounds around the internet. So anyway, let's see here. So Baloch leader declares Balochistan independent from Pakistan. A prominent Baloch leader has declared Balochistan independent from Pakistan, calling on India and the wider international community to recognize the region's right to self-determination amid long-standing allegations of state oppression and human rights violations. Mir Yar Baloch, a political representative advocating for Baloch independence, made the announcement on Wednesday via social media platform X, formerly Twitter, urging the world to reject Pakistan's claim over the region, call for recognition and support. In a series of statements posted online, Mir Yar Baloch said the people of Balochistan had delivered their national verdict through ongoing protests across the province. He described the declaration as a response to decades of political marginalization, enforced disappearances, and violent crackdowns by Pakistani authorities. Quote, Baloch people across Pakistan-occupied Balochistan are on the streets, and this is their national verdict, that Balochistan is not Pakistan, end quote, Mir Yar Baloch said, adding that the world must no longer remain silent. He appealed for recognition from the global community, including the United Nations, and requested India's support, asking Indian citizens and the media to stop referring to the Baloch as a part of Pakistan. Balochistan, Pakistan's largest and resource-rich province. That's why I think it could end up devolving into a civil conflict. I don't think Pakistan's going to let them go without a fight, but, what do I know? Let's see. Balochistan has witnessed a low-intensity separatist insurgency for decades. Human rights organizations have long reported abuses in the region, including extrajudicial killings, disappearances, and repression of political activists. Both Pakistani security forces and separatist arms groups have been accused of committing violations, with civilians frequently caught in the crossfire. Media access to the region remains restricted, making independent verification of claims difficult. Yeah, that's problematic. I mean, if any media is trying to get in there and trying to get more details on the situation, they got to let them in, and they got to get them on the ground and let them report to the world exactly what's going on. Because otherwise, I mean, this really can only be taken as what it may just end up being, and that's propaganda. So let's see here. According to human rights monitors, thousands of people have gone missing in Balochistan over the years, with families left without information on their whereabouts. Pakistani officials deny systematic abuses and claim military operations target only armed insurgents. In his declaration, Mir Yar Baloch also expressed support for India's position on Pakistan-administered Jammu and Kashmir, often referred to in India as Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or POK for short. He urged international pressure on Islamabad to withdraw from the region, warning of future conflict if the issue remains unresolved. Balochistan fully supports India's demand that Pakistan vacate POK. The international community must press Islamabad to leave the region to avoid another humiliation like the 1971 surrender in Dhaka. let's see, Miryar Baluch stated, and he referenced the end of the Bangladesh Liberation War when over 90,000 Pakistani troops surrendered to Indian forces, as that was mentioned in the video we just watched. He further alleged that Pakistan's military uses residents of the disputed region as human shields and placed responsibility for any potential escalation on the country's leadership. A history of strained relations. Let's see. Baluch nationalists have long contested Pakistan's control over the region. Balochistan was a princely state during British colonial rule and was annexed into Pakistan in 1948 following a controversial military intervention. Since then, calls for greater autonomy or full independence have periodically flared into violent resistance. The Pakistani government maintains that Balochistan is an integral part of the country and has accused foreign powers, including India, of fueling separatist sentiments, claims New Delhi denies. In 2020, Pakistan accused India of backing Baluch insurgents, an allegation India rejected as baseless. However, India has expressed concern over human rights issues in Balochistan during international forums. Despite the persistence of the conflict, Balochistan remains a relatively low-profile issue in global diplomacy. While international rights groups have raised concerns, few governments have openly supported the Baluch independence movement, wary of regional sensitivities and broader geopolitical considerations. Miryar Baluch criticized what he called the, quote, silence of the civilized world, end quote, urging democratic nations to stand by the Baluch cause. He accused Pakistan of carrying out genocide and war crimes under the eyes of the global community and called for accountability. Balochistan is strategically located along the Arabian Sea and is home to the deep water port of Gwadar, a key component of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC for short. The region's mineral resources and proximity to shipping lanes add to its geopolitical importance. China has invested heavily in infrastructure projects in the province, prompting criticism from Baluch activists who claim such initiatives marginalize local communities and exacerbate military surveillance. Security in the province remains volatile. Attacks on infrastructure projects and Chinese personnel have been reported in recent years, leading to heightened military presence and further tensions with local groups. The Declaration of Independence by Miryar Baluch marks a symbolic escalation in the decades-long Baluch resistance against Islamabad. While the claim lacks international recognition, it highlights growing frustration among activists and the unresolved nature of the conflict in Balochistan. Calls for international intervention are likely to increase pressure on Pakistan over its human rights record. However, without formal recognition or widespread support, the practical impact of the declaration remains uncertain. And I believe that's it, right? Yeah, I think that's it. Those are other articles. So, yeah, with China being involved with trying to build infrastructure in the area, I mean, yeah, that's definitely going to lead to problems. And, of course, I don't know or really believe that China would intervene militarily to protect their assets. They've got a lot of assets in Africa. I mean, China, they're trying to take over Africa, and they have been for quite a while, as well as regions of Latin America, investing heavily into those regions. But the locals don't like the Chinese moving in, and that may not just apply to Balochistan, but it certainly applies to Africa. I mean, they're just the Chinese who live in those areas and work in those areas. They're being attacked on a regular basis, at least in Africa. I've read that, out there in recent weeks and months, that they're being targeted pretty often by local residents. And I mean, they go in there, they extract resources, they pretty much bleed the region dry, and they freaking leave. So, I mean, I can't exactly blame them for being pissed off that China's moving in and extracting resources, probably giving money to the government, which those officials, it wouldn't surprise me if they pocketed that money and didn't distribute it fairly to the citizens of the area. All right, so that was that article on the India News Network, and I've got another one here. This is going to come from Times Now World, which is It's on the website timesnownews.com, which I'll leave in the description. I always leave these articles and links in my descriptions. So, Pakistan has lost control of 80% of Balochistan. The army is scared to even patrol, Baloch leader's big claim. Razak Baloch, a prominent Baloch leader, also called for international support, particularly from India and the U.S., emphasizing the need for peace and an end to military oppression by Pakistan. Baloch leader Razak Baloch has made an explosive claim on how Pakistani authorities have lost control of over 80% of Balochistan. In an interview with Tag TV, Razak Baloch, Secretary General of the Baloch American Congress, claimed that Pakistani forces are afraid to even leave Quetta after dark. I apologize, I'm terrible with words. So my apologies if I'm mispronouncing words. I'll do my best. And stated that they should withdraw with dignity in time rather than waiting for a situation like Bangladesh to happen. Quote, Pakistani forces cannot even leave Quetta after dark, end quote, Baloch told Tag TV, adding that even elected Pakistani officials have admitted to this situation and how the military avoids patrolling from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. due to security fears. He stated that Pakistan has lost control over 70 to 80% of the region and urged global powers, especially India and the United States, to support the Baloch struggle. If India supports us, our doors will open, he said, asserting that delays in support would only strengthen what he described as a barbaric army, affecting the region's stability. Calling for peace and an immediate end to military oppression across Pakistan's provinces, the leader further remarked that it would be wiser for the Pakistani army to withdraw with dignity rather than face a situation like Bangladesh, where only their boots were left behind. Just days ago, Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch asserted that Balochistan was never a part of Pakistan, and the region declared independence on August 11th of 1947 when Britishers were leaving Balochistan. He said, "We are not Pakistani, we are Balochistani," he said. In a series of posts on X, Mir Yar Baloch also urged Indians not to refer to Balochs as Pakistan's own people. Pakistan's own people are the Punjabi, who never faced air bombings, enforced disappearances, and genocide, he said. Mir Yar Baloch has urged India to recognize Balochistan's sovereignty by allowing an embassy in New Delhi and called on the UN for peacekeeping support. So that's that article. If that's true, that they've lost control of 80% of Balochistan, I mean, that's pretty significant. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. And in fact, it's probably probable because of this conflict that Pakistan had with India. And I mean, if it was the Pakistani military or the Pakistani army that engaged with India, I'm sure that they probably pulled most of their military over to the eastern side of the country to engage with India. Because look, Balochistan's here, India's way over here, and Pakistan is right in the middle, in between the two. And as far as I've read, and it may be in a little bit more information that I'll cover, Balochistan, they're siding with India. Obviously they are, because they want an embassy to be opened in New Delhi. So Balochistan wants to form an alliance with India. Pakistan is right in the middle in between these two. So, I mean, this long term, I don't see how this is going to go well. I mean, I don't know. But Balochistan, at least what I've read here and there, they want religious freedom. And apparently, and I'm not saying like this is official or anything, but I believe that they said that they welcome all types of religion and they just want to practice their religion in peace, and they just want a peaceful existence. They don't want to be ruled by what they're describing as a tyrannical government, at least it seems. All right, so I've got one more article. Let's see, this is coming from the timesofindia.indiatimes.com. We're not Pakistani, Baloch leader declares independence, has this request from Indians. Let's see here. This was published on May the 16th of 2025. And let's see, Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch asserted that Balochistan was never a part of Pakistan, citing decades of alleged atrocities. He urged India media to recognize Baloch as distinct from Pakistanis, recalling Balochistan's declaration of independence on August the 11th. What was that, 1947, I think? Yeah, 1947. Balochistan expressed support for India, with Baloch claiming backing from 60 million Baloch patriots. So as I said, with Balochistan being to the west, India being to the east, and Pakistan being right down the middle, it just sounds like a situation that's only going to cause conflict for generations and generations to come. Let's see. Baloch leader Mir Yar Baloch on Wednesday claimed that Balochistan was never a part of Pakistan, citing decades of air bombings, enforced disappearances, and genocide. So I honestly don't want to read the same things that I've already read. Honestly, what I've already covered, I've probably already it's probably already detailed in this article. So I'll just go over a couple of these tweets that he dropped. One renowned journalist asked me, question, is the date of independence from Balochistan be declared when Paki army leaves Baloch soil? Which I know I've already covered this. We have already declared our independence on August 11th, 1947, when Britishers were leaving Balochistan and the subcontinent. He also dropped this post. Let's see. Baloch narrative. Dear Indians, Patriot Media, the YouTube comrades, the intellectuals fighting to defend Bharat are suggested not to refer to Baloches as Pakistan's own people. We are not Pakistani. We are Balochistani. Pakistan's own people are the Punjabi, who never faced, persecution or violence, attacks by the military, things like that. I believe that was basically what he was. Yeah, there you go. Air bombings, enforced disappearances, and genocide. So there you have it. I will go ahead and just play. Well, actually, first, let me go. I already had X open. So I got a couple of posts that came up over the last few days. This was back on May the 14th. Balochistan is a secular place where we respect all religions. Let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit. So yeah, that was an image that was dropped on X. And here's another one. Big breaking, Republic of Balochistan. This is on May the 13th. So currently it is May the 18th, Sunday, as I'm recording this video. So this post was 5 days ago. So this isn't something that just happened overnight. It's been a few days in the making as far as being in the media, being on social media. Let's see. Baloch declares freedom, seeks recognition from the UN and India. Pakistan lost Balochistan. Welcome to the Republic of Balochistan. And here we go with another one. This is just a map just showing that India is off to the east, Iran is off to the west, Afghanistan is to the north, and Pakistan is in green, and Balochistan is in red. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the newest member to the community of civilized nations, presenting to you the Republic of Balochistan. And another map that I was showing that is of India and Balochistan. We changed the geography of Asia. And we've got another one here. Balochistan didn't ask for freedom, it declared it. The Republic of Balochistan is here. Deal with it. Chains off, flag up. And this just shows the alliance that they are seeking to form between India and Balochistan, that being the Balochistan flag, and that, of course, being the Indian flag. So that was I saw that to be pretty interesting, that they've got lapel pins. Apparently, they've got the national anthem already done. Not done, but I'm assuming that this national anthem that they have is not anything new. They didn't create a national anthem in the last few days. I'm sure it's probably many, many years old. Okay, so this one is actually a thread, if I'm not mistaken. It says it's a thread. Yeah, here we go. So let's see. No. Okay, all right. So Balochistan, from ancient roots to modern resistance, this land tells a powerful story of identity, loss, and hope. And a couple of pictures of Balochistan, one of which we saw just a minute ago. So Balochistan spans across Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan. Its location is geostrategically vital with coastlines, borders, and resources, but its people often feel voiceless in decisions about their own land. Balochistan is Pakistan's largest province by area, yet the most underdeveloped. It covers nearly 44% of the country, but holds only 6% of the population. Before 1948, Balochistan was an autonomous princely state, the Khanate of Kalat. It was forcibly annexed by Pakistan in March of 1948, triggering long-standing resistance. There's an old newspaper publication from back in the day. Let's see. Since then, there have been multiple Baloch uprisings against the Pakistani state in 1948, 1958, 1962, 1973, and in 2004. Each time, the demands were crushed by military force. Balochistan is rich in resources, natural resources, including gas, coal, copper, and gold. Ironically, its people face extreme poverty. Despite contributing 40% of Pakistan's natural gas, Baloch homes often don't have gas connections. It holds world-class reserves, which include gold and copper. The Reko Dik mine in Balochistan contains one of the world's largest gold and copper reserves. The estimated value is believed to be $60 billion. Guess who doesn't benefit? The local Baloch people. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It flows through Balochistan. Billions of dollars in infrastructure, but Baloch people are displaced, surveilled, and silenced. Enforced disappearances are a brutal reality. According to human rights groups, thousands of students, activists, and journalists have vanished. Many never return. The Pakistani state brands Baloch activists as, quote, terrorists, end quote, but their demands are clear. End the military occupation, give them autonomy or independence, give them resource rights, and cultural preservation. Baloch women are now leading the Mirang Baloch is one of them. Resistance. Baloch women are now leading the Mirang Baloch is one of them resistance. Organizing protests, demanding justice, challenging patriarchy and militarization, but they face arrests and harassment too. I mean, that sounds like an internal conflict. That doesn't sound like, Balochistan versus Pakistan, but okay. Yeah, they had to throw a little bit of, political jargon there at the end. So anyway, this is going to be on this person's profile. Their name is just 07 or 07. But anyway, they're the ones that published that thread that's here on X. So yeah, you can take it for what you will. And I don't think I'm going to play this whole video. It is 7 minutes. It's on the channel Firstpost. And this was just posted yesterday. So that's why I figured I would play some of this. And maybe I'll go through the whole thing. But it should have pretty updated information as it was just posted a number of hours ago. So here we go.
To much of the world, the world, Balochistan is a mystery, just another name on the map. To Pakistan, it's a nightmare, a powder keg of resentment, a graveyard of grand ambitions, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of Islamabad's unraveling. The harder Pakistan tries to control it, the faster it slips through its fingers.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Look at what's happening right now.
Right.
Baloch leaders are not asking, they're declaring. They're declaring independence. They want to be do not want to be part of Pakistan anymore.
Yeah, they don't want to be a part.
And it's all over social media. Republic of Balochistan is trending. Balochistan even has a request for India. It wants New Delhi to recognize them. It wants a Baloch embassy in the Indian capital.
Yep.
India is yet to formally comment on this, and it's unlikely that they will.
Ah, that sucks.
But it has left Pakistan spooked. Why? Because of how important Balochistan is to them. Let me pull up a map for you. This is a map of Pakistan with all its provinces marked.
Yep, 44%,
Do you see how big Balochistan is?
That's big.
It is Pakistan's largest province. It occupies 44% of Pakistan's total territory. 44%, that's almost half the country.
Right.
The Baloch are the largest ethnic group in Pakistan, followed by the Pashtuns. And they should have been rich. Because their homeland, Balochistan, is extremely rich in resources. It has natural gas, minerals, copper, and gold in abundance. This is untapped mineral wealth, potentially worth around $1 trillion.
Damn. $1 trillion.
We can already imagine
Holy
Donald
crap.
Trump getting excited. But there's more. Balochistan is also the fruit basket of Pakistan. It produces a lot of the country's fruits and nuts.
See, isn't that messed up that it's the most underdeveloped region of Pakistan? It's also the largest province in Pakistan, and it has some of the most impoverished people in Pakistan, yet this province, this region of Pakistan, is the resource richest area. I mean, it's just like in other third world regions, like in the continent of Africa, for instance. There's insane amounts of resources there, yet the everyday people who live on that land, who were born and raised on that land, who are really entitled to that land because it should be their sovereign country, they're getting nothing out of it. And it's absolutely crazy that some of the poorest regions on Earth have some of the richest reserves of resources that can be had. It's just mind-boggling to me.
But despite these resources, the people of Balochistan are poor. In fact, it is Pakistan's poorest province, the least developed, and the most heavily militarized.
Damn.
You see, Balochistan became a part of Pakistan only in 1948. The nation-state of Pakistan was formed after partition in 1947, but Balochistan did not join them immediately. It took 1 year and difficult talks. And since then, uprisings have followed in waves, each one crushed with brutal precision. People disappeared, activists were tortured, and half of the province looks like a ghost town. But here's the part no one really talks about openly. Pakistan has always feared Balochistan.
Oh.
And it's not just because of rebellion. It's because of if Balochistan goes, everything goes.
Right.
Let me take you back to that map we just saw.
It's the resources, man. $1 trillion. I mean, if that's an accurate estimate, I mean, they could even potentially have even more than that. I'm sure there's probably some undiscovered deposits of natural resources that they have yet to find. So, yeah, I mean, if they're really going to become an independent nation and they're going to take an estimated $1 trillion in resources with them, yeah, that's going to be a hell of a hit for Pakistan. It would seem that the economics would kind of flip, that Balochistan would probably become one of the richest in the region, whereas Pakistan would probably drop into one of the most impoverished. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But my question is if Balochistan is recognized as a sovereign country, which I think is kind of bullshit anyway. I mean, look, if the region declares independence as a sovereign nation, why the hell do they need permission from the United States and India and the UN? I mean, look, if they declared their independence and if they're establishing a government, who is the rest of the world to say they can't do that? I just don't, I don't know. I guess I don't understand geopolitics that well. But my question is that if Balochistan does receive their independence and they become a sovereign nation, who is going to get the lion's share of those resources? Will it be owned by the government, or will people who are going to be in power in Balochistan, are they going to bring in outside companies from places like China who are going to come in and they'll start writing contracts so they can get temporary rights to this land or mining rights to this land, and effectively they would be exporting their natural resources to other countries, probably for pennies on the dollar. And even if they did that, there's probably no guarantee that the people of Balochistan are going to really get any cut of that. And why? I mean, it just never seems to happen. It never does. Like anytime that a developing country either mines it themselves and exports the resources, or if they contract that out to a different country to come in and mine those resources, the people who live in the surrounding areas and the citizens of that country, they rarely get any benefit from that. Because these companies, they'll move in and they'll promise the locals certain things to get their favor, such as we're going to build schools, we'll build hospitals, we'll pave roads for you so you don't have dirt roads anymore. We'll bring in better infrastructure like possibly water systems and plumbing and streetlights and things like that. I mean, they promise all these things to the people, and time again, it just doesn't ever seem to happen. And if it does happen, it's at a bare minimum. Like they'll build this crappy school that doesn't even have electricity. It's shoddy work, construction work at best, and it's bullshit. So, I mean, that's really the big question that I would pose to Balochistan and the leaders. If they do become an independent country, how is that going to benefit the locals of your country? Because you got to get them to benefit from it, whether if they can work in these mines, and if they're given a fair wage, don't pay them like $5 a day, actually give them, a real wage, among other things. I mean, I would just have to insist. I mean, if I were looking at this from a diplomatic perspective, that when you're looking at $1 trillion in resources, you've got to benefit the locals. I mean, no matter what. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they become like a communist country or anything. I'm not saying that like everything belongs to the people. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, hopefully that they'll have a plan in place, because they've got a lot of wealth that they can tap into to help strengthen their country economically. And I just hope they go about it the right way. That's all.
You can see Balochistan and its vast coastline along the Arabian Sea.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of this coastline that China chose Balochistan.
Right.
They chose it for CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And the crown jewel of this project is a port. It is called the Gwadar Port. This is what makes Balochistan so crucial. It provides trade and energy routes. Gwadar provides direct access to the Indian Ocean, and the rest of Balochistan offers an alternative land route. That is why this province is important for Pakistan. Without it, CPEC becomes a carcass. Pakistan loses the Gwadar port, and access to the Arabian Sea becomes limited.
So in other words, they're not going to let this go without a fight. Pakistan's not just going to simply back down and say, yeah, okay, fine, you can be your own independent nation. So this, basically what I'm hearing is that this will devolve into some armed conflict, or potentially a bloodbath, if Balochistan doesn't have, if they don't have a strong enough presence with defense forces or what have you. I mean, look, they represent only 6% of the population of overall Pakistan. I mean, it just sounds like, just based on the population, like a losing battle from the start, which might be why that they're asking for the UN to intervene and bring in, peacekeepers and whatnot. So maybe.
This will seriously hurt Pakistan's relationship with China if they lose Balochistan. Plus, there's a buffer with Iran and Afghanistan. Balochistan borders both these countries, Iran and Afghanistan. So a lot of Pakistan's regional posture depends on it. Lose Balochistan and Pakistan loses its significance. And geography is only half the crisis. It's also about natural wealth. Balochistan is home to the Sui gas fields. It supplies much of Pakistan's domestic energy. Then there are minerals. A big share of Pakistan's extractive economy depends on it. And here's the real kicker. Pakistan will lose the wealth but keep the debt if Balochistan goes.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit.
And that's a lot of debt. The loans from China, the cost of CPEC, the unpaid dues to foreign investors. Islamabad will have to pay all of it. That too, without the territory.
Yeah, I mean, like with I don't know how much debt that they have exactly, but yeah, I'm sure whatever debt that the Pakistani government has, I'm sure that it's being backed by the natural resources that they've proven that they have below their feet. So that would be interesting, because Pakistan wouldn't, I mean, look, if they've got a significant amount of debt and they lose their region that has the lion's share of their resources, how are they going to pay that debt back? So, the more she gets into the details, into the nitty gritty, it just doesn't sound to me like Pakistan is going to let this happen at all. I mean, if they continue down this path and Balochistan insists on being sovereign, and they are really going to try to establish themselves as an independent country, I mean, it just sounds like that a full-on war might end up breaking out, and hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm sure the United States and India, the UN, they're probably, or even the European Union, they'll probably try to diplomatically intervene as much as possible, but I don't think you're going to get Pakistan to back off. I don't think they're going to back off. They've got too much to lose. They've got way too much to lose. So, I don't know, man.
Supposedly justified it. And beyond all of this is the question of national unity. Losing half of your country will be a serious blow. Rawalpindi knows that, which is why Pakistan's army has spent decades trying to crush the Baloch insurgency.
Yeah, and another thing, Balochistan wants to form an alliance with India. So Pakistan's going to be at a real disadvantage if that ends up happening. So they've got two enemy countries, essentially, one to their west and one to their east. So, I mean, Pakistan, by losing Balochistan, I mean, look, with it being only 6% of the population, they still have a significant amount of people in Pakistan. But, I mean, what's to say that India or Indian military may start bringing forces over to Balochistan and fortify the country militarily, and then Pakistan could get attacked from both ends. Now, Pakistan is a nuclear-armed country. Not sure exactly how many nuclear weapons they have. They probably don't. They probably have more than one. So, I mean, you could kind of paint a picture as to how ugly that this situation could really get.
As always, they're failing.
Whoa. Holy shit.
In the last few years,
damn,
the Pakistani army has been under attack. They faced multiple attacks from the BLA, that's the Baloch Liberation Army. Recently, they hijacked a train with 400 passengers on board.
Oh.
So the militants are only getting bolder. Right now, Pakistan has a lot to be worried about. Balochistan is not just a province in revolt. It is a mirror reflecting everything that Pakistan has failed to fix. The inequality, the injustice, and the hollow promises of unity.
Okay. Well.
If Balochistan breaks away, it won't end there. It will open the floodgates. It will set a precedent and turn a fragile federation into a fragmented map. For Pakistan, this is not just a security crisis, it is an existential one.
Okay. Well, I'll just leave it there. I mean, you get the idea. That's pretty wild, man. I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out, but you know, what do you know, man? Balochistan, it could become its own country. Everybody's maps, everybody's globes that they have in their house, the maps, the teachers' maps in school, we're going to have to change them all yet again. I'm not sure when the most recent country was added to the list of countries around the world. I know at some point, I guess it was a while ago at this point, the country of Zaire in Africa, it was changed to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I mean, there was probably some other region somewhere in the world that may have become a country since then, but that's the most recent one I can think of as far as having to change all the maps in the world to reflect the new country that was added. But so yeah, anyway, that's Balochistan for you. We'll just have to see how that unfolds. Hopefully it'll be as peaceful as possible. Hopefully both sides can kind of get what they want, although I'm not sure if that's going to be in any way possible, because it doesn't sound like Pakistan in any way can possibly afford to lose Balochistan, and I don't think they're going to let it go without one hell of a fight. So let's hope for the best, and I guess they'll just have to plan for the worst. But anyway, that's all I got. See you later.